Right then, a very warm welcome to Fab Networking Wednesday webinar. And today it's my absolute pleasure that we are joined by the FSB and the Growth Hub. So I'm going to introduce you to my lovely colleagues in the FSB and the Growth Hub, and they're going to tell you about the support and what's been happening to help all of us small to medium-sized businesses, in fact all businesses, behind the scenes, in front of the scenes, all the way through during this crisis time. So the first person I'm going to come to is Lee, and Lee, I'm going to make you a spotlight. Don't know if I really need to say that, but I am. There we are, and there's Lee. Hi Lee. So would you like to tell us about your role in the FSB and exactly what you've been up to in these times?
Okay, thanks Amanda. So for those that don't know, the FSB is the Federation of Small Businesses. So we're a membership organisation that represents small business owners and the self-employed. We're a national organisation with around 170,000 members. And clearly during this time, over the past 3 or 4 weeks, we've been representing our members, but also all small businesses and lobbying national and local government to provide strong representation to get as much as we can, as much support as we can for our members. So our aim is to get as much generous help as possible for as many small businesses as possible and as fast as possible to making sure that that money and that support flows as quickly as it can to small businesses and the self-employed. So through our London office and our national chairman, Mike Cherry, we've been in constant communication and dialogue with government at all levels of government, with particular Mike Cherry talking to the Chancellor on a regular basis and other government officials as well. So some of the measures that have come out have been a direct result of FSB working with other bodies as well to try and get that support to businesses. So I'll just cover some of those. I guess they're all pretty familiar by now, but some of those include 800,000 small businesses covered by small business rate relief or rural rates relief are now receiving grants of £10,000. There's also £25,000 cash grants for those in retail, hospitality and leisure, up to a rateable value of £51,000. We've seen business rates suspended for 12 months for the retail, hospitality and leisure sectors. But now this also includes nurseries, estate agents and bingo halls as well. And FSB lobbying has also seen the job retention scheme, also the furloughing of staff with up to 80% of wages covered by government coming in. That's up to £2,500 per month of wages. So that scheme, we believe, opens on the 20th of April, which is next week. I guess we'll wait to see how that progresses and how many people are trying to log on to that scheme, but it does open on the 20th of April through HMRC. And we've also lobbied particularly strongly for the self-employed as well, because obviously all those raft of government measures came out a couple of weeks before the self-employed support measures. So we were instrumental in securing an income replacement scheme for the 3.8 million self-employed, which will come online in early June. But we do recognise that doesn't cover everybody. There are some gaps. So we're continuing to represent those that are self-employed that perhaps don't fit into the measures so far. And we've also seen the SME bank facility to ensure that they can get loans through the Coronavirus Business Interruption Loan Scheme through their normal bank provider. And we've also lobbied for big businesses to ignore their payment terms and pay small business suppliers immediately. And we've seen Morrison's, Sainsbury's and Tesco's leading the way with this, which is obviously positive. And we've also seen commercial renters get eviction protection for 3 months. That had been extended from the residential market to the business market as well, for again as a result of FSB lobbying. So as I said, that we remain in constant dialogue with government, feeding back business concerns with those particular measures, back to HMRC and Treasury, as I say. Particular concerns coming through around the civil scheme and how that's working for small businesses. Some aren't seeing or having or being told that it's 2 to 3 weeks to process claims for the banks or their applications. Still being asked for kind of personal information and cash flow forecasts, which are particularly difficult at this time, obviously. So we're all feeding back those processes or those case studies at a local level back to national, back to our colleagues in London, who are able to pass that information back to government. Outside of those measures, we've seen our policy chair, Martin McTague, at a national level providing evidence to the BEIS Select Committee on the impact of coronavirus on businesses and workers. He provided that evidence alongside the CBI and the trade unions. And we've also been in conversations and dialogue with the Small Business Commissioner as well to report and work on kind of late payment issues as well. So that's some of the stuff that we've been doing at a national level. Myself and Jen are development managers with the FSB, which means we represent and look after our members at a more regional and local level. I'm the development manager for Coventry, Warwickshire and Solihull, whereas Jen's the development manager for Leicestershire, Northamptonshire and Rutland. And we've been involved in some kind of local lobbying work and local activity as well. And that, I suppose for both areas, has taken the shape of weekly conference calls with our local authorities, our growth hub. So for me, that includes the Coventry and Warwickshire growth hub, which I guess Louise will talk about as well, and also the LEP and the chambers as well, to really, I suppose, share intelligence and information at a local level, report back on our findings, and really just make sure that we're all having a consistent message across the local area to again, feedback to BEIS and to government. Our weekly conference calls are also helping to enable us to get a full picture on the grants that are being provided by the local authorities and making sure that they're reaching businesses quickly. And I have to say that the feedback that we've received, particularly in Coventry and Warwickshire, has been that the process has been pretty smooth, and local authorities are getting that money out to businesses pretty quickly. We're also engaging locally with our MPs, again feeding back local case studies and local information. In Coventry, the 3 MPs set up a Coventry Coronavirus Parliamentary Group, to which the FSB has been feeding in weekly information too. And we've also held a round table with one of those MPs, Colleen Fletcher, the MP for Coventry North East. I say a round table, it's obviously a virtual meeting, to which we had about 7 local businesses dial into to again provide direct feedback about their impact that they're having or they're seeing as a result of coronavirus. We've also spoken to the Bank of England, their West Midlands representative, to again provide feedback directly from businesses that are being impacted, direct feedback from the ground, to again the Bank of England get a handle on what's happening at a local level. Obviously, we've been speaking to the local authorities on our weekly conference calls, but again, we're in constant communication with them, not just through those conference calls, but also on emails, and again, passing kind of case studies and helping to resolve any kind of local issues that have arisen. And that's been, I guess, particularly important to keep in touch with the local authorities as they are issuing those grants, and kind of feeding back any issues with those. I know in Jen's patch that she's been involved in some economic resilience groups, so that she might talk a bit more about those and how they're working. We've also obviously been represented on the media quite a bit recently in both the East and the West Midlands, on East Midlands Today, and also West Midlands Today in the West Midlands. Also been featured quite a lot on BBC CWR and BBC Radio Leicestershire. So again, just providing information on how local businesses are coping, what their stories are, and how the future is for them as well. But I think it's also been pleasing to see some positive aspects coming out as well, how businesses are supporting each other and supporting their local community as well. So it's important that we've been flagging those up in good news stories and also in the local media as well. And as this progresses over the last couple of weeks, we've been starting to move our events online. We obviously, as I said, had the MP roundtable with Colleen Fletcher, spoken to the Bank of England, and yesterday we had a forum for retail and high street businesses with the local bids within Coventry and Warwickshire. So that was a good session about what the bids and the FSB have been lobbying on, and what the future looks like for the high street and retailers at this current time. So I think Jen might talk more about the events, but again, we're doing our virtual networking as well. So please do keep an eye on the FSB website, which is fsb.org.uk. That was all I was going to cover, really, Amanda, if that's
fantastically. We've actually got a couple of questions. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Right, okay. So, right, let's have a look. So, I think James, this is from James, and he says the approval rates for the, how do you say that? The corruption business loan interruption scheme is around 1%, and the banks are using it as a last resort rather than a priority for clients. Happy to give details of conversations he's had with bank managers about this. I should just say that James' business is commercial finance, and it's been an amazing support to a lot of local businesses, including FAB members. So he just wanted to know what's the panel's view is on this, and is there going to be any expectation that this could change?
Well, I think that we're obviously getting feedback from local FSB members who, as I said, are facing a number of barriers or are coming up against some potential issues. And obviously we've raised them locally with the MPs that we've spoken to, and also fed back their concerns to our London office, who are then obviously speaking to government. So I hope that it would start to see some change as a result of the feedback that we're receiving and putting into government. So I'm hopeful that with our feedback that things may change, but obviously at the minute it is a bit of a concern that problems are still being faced with it. So I would just add, if we do have people through Amanda that are facing issues, then we do want to hear about those. So please do keep feeding those in, really.
Yes.
Sorry, Louise. If I would jump in and say that I took part in a CBILS, as we call it, the Coronavirus Business Interruption Loans, a CBILS training with the British Business Bank and various big banks. This was before the government announced some really important raft of changes, which was over a week ago. But at the time, it was very much the case that the CBILS, when the government announced them, they were right to do that, and they should have been a good thing, and they were designed to help businesses quickly and effectively. Then, of course, it got passed to the British Business Bank to design the scheme, then to the banks to deliver the scheme, and that's where it sort of hit the buffers. And the way the banks were delivering it was, as James says, to use them as a last resort and to say, we'll go through all of our commercial finance options, and if you can't get any of those, then we will offer you a CBIL. And of course, you also have to be a viable business. So if you're a viable business, making profit, doing well, actually there's quite a raft of businesses that would have been naturally offered a commercial loan, and only a commercial loan. So the changes which were put in place by the government based on this feedback were that no longer should be the case, and that the CBILS should be the first option. And if you have been offered a commercial loan because you qualify for one, you can now go back to that bank and say, no, now I want a CBIL, I don't want that commercial product. So hopefully that will start to filter through. It needs to filter through in terms of awareness for people to know that they can go back and reapply, and also to the banks to make them understand that it's really important, like Lee says, that these are put out quickly and appropriately to everybody who qualify for one.
I think we are still finding the process really slow, and as Jen said, that people aren't getting past that application stage in the first instance. So there is definitely room for improvement.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. Right then, thank you, Lee. That was brilliant. I'm going to cancel the spotlight on you. Okay. Oh, and I'm going to come to Jennifer now. Jen now. Hang on. I don't see. Just a minute. I need to. There we go. I'm at the controls. I can do this.
Excellent.
There we are. So now we have Jen from FSB as well. And are you going to share your screen? Can you see the share your screen bit at the bottom?
Yes, I can. So I just thought if I talk about the FSB has two sides really. We're a lobbying group essentially, but we also to our members we offer business support services. So if you pay your subs, they get spent on services such as banking, tax investigation protection, and legal helpline. Now, for many years, we talk about the legal helpline and say, for heaven's sake, call them. You know, there's solicitors available, and there is no time quite like now where suddenly everybody needs these services. Having said that, we do have a very public website, and we have public services because we are there to help all small businesses, not just members. So I thought it would be helpful if I show you what we've got, which you can access. And of course, you've got the Growth Hub. So Louise will be able to offer a really good package of local support. It's the same in Leicester and Leicestershire. We've got the LEP Biz Gateway. So I would really recommend also looking at your business gateway or the Growth Hub, whatever it's called locally. Go to your own one, look at that and look at what they're offering, because what they have is a very localized mix of the different business support available. And one thing I think it's really worth saying is if you're one of these people that falls through the gaps, like a startup, for example, I've always had a little bit of an issue locally in campaigning in saying a lot of the funded business support is around employers and startups and particularly startups, certain sort of molds of business. Of course, now startups in many cases are the ones who don't seem to be getting as much support. So these localized packages, whether they're European funded or funded from other means, actually they've really struggled to get awareness, and suddenly these are, you know, a really, really viable, in many cases much quicker option to get funding or business support. So I would say definitely look to the Growth Hub, and Louise will go through that. But if I share my screen, this is what FSB offers. So let's find it. If you go to fsb.org.uk, can you see that?
Yes. Yes, thank you.
So as soon as we always look forward to the budget. For us, it's like the Super Bowl. We spend ages putting together this package that we would like the Chancellor to look at, and when it's budget day, it's like Super Bowl day, and we're all watching it and going, yes, yes, if we get any wins. So the coronavirus, it was just coming in as the budget was announced. So as soon as the budget was announced and we knew what the package of support was, we put this coronavirus hub together. And obviously things have come on a really long way since then. So we've been adding to this and changing this and updating this multiple times a day. So if you come to the FSB's website, the front page has this part about coronavirus. It has everything else here, but particularly have a look at the coronavirus hub. So on here, it's very business focused advice. So obviously you've got the growth hubs, you've got the government websites, but on here you can find FSB's general information for employers, for small businesses, for self-employed, about what government support is available. Now come down here and you have a selection of webinars. So what we're doing is pulling all the information together and the frequently asked questions and the advice for small businesses on here. So you can see the frequently asked questions. Do I still have to pay tax and tax and VAT? What's the self-employment income scheme? Quite basic ones. And what can I do? Guidance for employers. So there's plenty of information on there, and this is all for everybody, public access. The webinars, again, public access, so they're for anybody. You don't have to be an FSB member. You can go ahead and watch these again, and each one features our policy, head of policy from Westminster, head of public affairs, who does, their team do a lot of the lobbying that Lee was mentioning with all of the ministers and MPs. So they're very much answering questions and explaining what we're asking for, what the likelihood of these is, you know, talking about the issues and chewing the fat a bit. So take a look at these webinars, and you can watch them back. At the moment, they're just there to watch anytime. They're roughly an hour long, so get comfortable. But there's lots in there which hopefully you'll find useful. Now, the other thing to mention, once you've had a good look around on the Coronavirus Hub, is I'll tell you, let's see if I can go to if you are an FSB member, this is essentially what your subs are going towards, all these benefits. Right now, it's things like cooperative banks. So of course, they've just been given authority to give CBILS loans. So have a look at your membership and make sure you know what is available to you. There's a funding platform. So again, you can put one application for CBILS funding, and it can run through all the CBILS providers. So you do one application and it saves you a great deal of time. But the Legal Hub, a lot of people have asked me very, very specific questions about their business. And what you need is to speak to an employment solicitor or a solicitor in contracts and that sort of thing. So you've got the legal helpline, which is solicitors 24 hours a day, and the hub, which has all the documents on. So if you're an FSB member, you go to log into your dashboard. There's your login there. Of course, this is mine. And on here, have a look. And there's so many members that don't even realise they've never looked on this. So that's, you know, don't feel bad. But this is here for you for free. Go to Legal Hub once you're in the back end of the website. And on here, you have got guidance, templates on all sorts of things. You've got intellectual property, health and safety. But for now, if you go to coronavirus, all the guidance, very detailed guidance is on here with a business kind of frame around it. So you've got, and this is all created by the solicitors. It's not FSB writing it, it's FSB's legal team that we pay to deliver this service. So as you can see on here, you've got very specific information about, for employers, about furlough leave, all of these things are on here. And you've got DIY legal documents, which contains redundancy consultation letter, intention of furlough, and all those kind of letters, which you can do a Google and you might find something, but when you are in these very specific areas around employment law, you have to be very careful what you're doing. So this is here for you as free legal support. And again, Louise might be able to advise if you're not an FSB member, where you can find support like this. And obviously you may have solicitors and accountants and all the rest of it, but this is here for you for free. And now if up here as well, you can see book a call. If you can just see that there. Book a call means you can speak to those solicitors and get that one-to-one conversation. So you can go through your very specific personal circumstance and get that solicitor advice. So please go ahead and use that. Now I'm just going to go back to the FSB website to show the Skills Hub. This is brand new. So just to show this, have a little tinker on here for webinars, guidance. So while we run a policy webinar once a week, this is a skills webinar. So things you could be doing during this time. Lots of people are looking at their skills, their digital skills, you know, upscaling their own personal skills and also their website and that sort of thing. So have a look at these webinars that are on here. These are, I think, just available for members, but there's also various offers here for FSB members to all sorts of offers you can just have a look at in there from larger providers. And also, all of this is here, again, totally open to everybody. Resources to be having a look at. So top tips of working from home, 5 ways to use social media. So feel free to just go on there and have a look around. These are national articles, but they apply to everybody, or they should. As Lee has mentioned, we've taken all of our events virtual, as everybody has. So when you go to events next to campaigns, you can put in here where you are. Of course, at the moment, it doesn't actually matter the mileage, but you might not want to go to networking in Dundee if you're never going to see or work with any of those people again. So pop it in here, and you'll be able to bring up some virtual networking you might like to come along to. So of course, Lee's got one in Coventry. I've got one in FSB Leicester that's setting up soon with a fabulous member called Amanda Daly. And at the moment, Lee and I are also looking at setting up local clinics. So Lee obviously ran something yesterday morning with the bids and FSB's retail policy lead. So that's the sort of thing we'll be looking to do a lot more of. That question and answer, as Louise has probably seen with the Growth Hub, people want to ask their specific question and get a specific answer. So having those clinics with important, with stakeholders who actually have some important information to impart on us is really something we're looking at for future. So if you've got any ideas, feel free to let us know and contact us. It might be local council people or MPs or anybody that you think I want to talk to them about these issues. So that's all I thought it might be worth sharing with you. If I knew how to come off screen share, I would.
At the top, it'll say stop screen share.
There we are. Let's do this. There you are. Stop share.
There we are. Right. And I'll take the spotlight off you. Thank you so much. That's wonderful. Thank you, Jen. Thank you. Don't think we had any questions. That was really informative. Thank you. Thank you. So, Louise, shall we go to you now? I'm just going to make you spotlight.
Lovely. Thank you.
There we go.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Louise, if you could just tell us a little bit about the role of the Growth Hub, and then what you've been doing and what there is for people to be doing and things, help and support now.
Well, yeah, from the Growth Hub, there's actually 38 of us within the UK, so it's all postcode related. So if you're within Coventry and Warwickshire, you put in your postcode and you'd come to us, you'd connect with us here. We provide a lot of, on a normal day-to-day basis, a lot of business support. That could be looking for grants regarding premises, anything to support your businesses. If you're looking for training, employment, apprenticeships, manufacturing, lots of areas it covers. On our actual website, the CW Growth Hub, there's a questionnaire on there which gives us, when businesses fill it in, then it gives us an indication of how big your business is, how long it's been going for, and then the type of support that you're seeking. So one of the members from the team, we all cover different areas within the Growth Hub, and that would be forwarded on to either account manager or, like myself, a business navigator, and then we will connect with you and have a business support session. Obviously, with COVID-19 going on at the moment, the website's been updated, and like the FSBs as well, a lot of information is on there. And at first, everything was being thrown on it, and the guys in the team have re-engineered it to be more customer friendly. So a lot of it now is more subtitled. So when you go onto the web page, it gives you more in-depth information in there, and the type of help that's out there, obviously from local authorities giving out grants, and obviously we've got the concerns regarding CBILS, and getting that information back to the British Business Banking, and then obviously to government to let them know that they've come up with this idea, but businesses aren't able to get it quickly or not quick enough, and they've now like changed it around and updated it also. At the Growth Hub, we've been connecting with a lot of businesses, even though we're all working from home. The main number's been diverted, so I think there's about 6 of us that have the number. So even if you call it, you will be connecting with one of us here. And we've done a survey from the Growth Hub regarding COVID-19, and I've just got a few things. I've just taken down the information for Coventry. There was obviously the other areas like Nuneaton, Bedworth, Kenilworth, Leamington, Stratford and Warwick, and North Warwickshire. For February and March, we did 221 in-depth business engagements. So that's where we connected with them and gave them time as well. And also there was 183 business taken from the COVID-19 questionnaire. And that was just to see what had the effect that was having on businesses, because if you can imagine, it's not just one straight road for everybody, it's different, and it affects every business in different ways. So there's not just one answer fits all. So we connected. So within that, there was 404 altogether. So 39 of those were sole employers. 81 was micro businesses, so within 2 to 9 employees. 67 were small businesses. 23 were medium, and then 11 were over 250 employees. So from that, you can gather that was quite a lot small to medium businesses were connected with, and support's being given, and that is ongoing. So even after COVID-19, we'll still be connecting with those businesses to make sure that they're getting the support ongoing. Regarding the CBILS and understanding the financial frustrations businesses are having, we've also got Coventry and Warwickshire Reinvestment Trust. They're a not-for-profit organisation, so if businesses are struggling, they can offer advice and support. They can they maybe have a discussion with you, and for personal commercial loans, there may be something at this moment in time that might suit you, you know, specifically. I can put that information in the chat down there as well, for you to connect with them, or contact me directly and I can give you that information too. So yeah, it's ongoing. And obviously regarding exiting after all this, what we'd like to see as soon is some type of what we're doing going forward, so that we can start planning. So anything that you can do at the moment that you can think, kind of get orders in place, and knowing what stock you would kind of think you would need when you do start to go, instead of like waiting till we actually get the okay. Start putting in place plans that you can connect with and make sure you've covered all your bases. And like the guys have said, training, people are training as well, getting their websites up, you know, adapting it and making them more specific. So there is a lot of things that we can be doing outside, but once again, we're all here to support you. And obviously we resonate as well with what Lee's been saying, and Jenny from the FSB, about connecting, and all the information's been fed back to central government and to those authorities, to let them know the struggles and also the positives that are obviously happening as well. Some businesses have changed their direction and helped with the PPE call out, and the goggles and the visors. We've had, you know, we've had a hand in that as well within the Growth Hub by calling out to businesses that we've connected with previously to see if they can help. We've had a great response, so that's a positive, to think that we are assisting in some way to helping everybody to get out of this and on the other side. So
thank you very much. Thank you, Louise. So I'll just take you off spotlight as well. Thank you so much. That's just amazing. Thank you. So we were also going to be joined today by Helena of Coventry and Warwickshire Chamber of Commerce Business Support. Unfortunately, Helena's poorly, so she did just send an email asking me to let everyone know that they do have a policy webinar or call-in with a local MP once a week, and it's called the policy meeting, and that is on their website. So if you look at the Coventry and Warwickshire Chamber of Commerce website, under events, you can see that, and you can book to actually feed your questions directly to a minister. And I think this week it's the MP for Warwick and Leamington that's holding that this week, so that's on Thursday. So if anyone, we wish Helena a speedy recovery, and Helena is always knows, along with the Growth Hub, but Helena always knows where to get hold of business loans, business grants really. So she did say that she'll be back open for business hopefully by next Tuesday. She just needs to take some time and get well, so we send her lots of love. So if anyone wants to know about those ones, just drop me an email. I'll put my email in the chat and I can pass that on to Helena. So is there anything else? Does anybody want to say anything else, or is that about it? I'll just put my any more questions for anyone? Any more to say? I don't think so. I think all it remains for me to say is thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today, and stay safe, stay well, and we'll see you all on the other side.
Thanks,
Bye.
Amanda.
Bye.